Hey there, Santos Rolon Jr. here once again, in front of the camera, inspired. I'm making this video, and this video is going to be a little bit longer than my usually 4 to 5 minutes. I'm making this video in response to somebody that is a follower, has been benefiting from my messages and my videos, but for some reason is still struggling with gambling. And I'm kind of dedicating this video to you, and I'm also dedicating this video to all of you out there that are looking for your victory. I'm going to say something here, probably profound, and I hope that you'll understand as you listen to the rest of this video why I'm saying, or why I said what I said in the beginning. If you're watching this video, there's a strong likelihood that from today forward you'll get the victory in your life. I'm going to say that again. There's a strong likelihood that from today going forward, after watching this video, you're going to get the victory. You will get the victory. Now, wow, that's pretty bold to say, because you don't know me. You know, on the other side of the screen, you don't know me, you don't know what I've been through, you don't know the situation that I'm in. No, I don't know the situation that you're in, but I can tell you the situations that I've been through. Starting at around the age of 14, coming from a very violent, abusive, and traumatic environment as a child. I'm not going to get into that here, but I'll tell you, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in the projects. And my escape, one of my escapes, was getting out there and going and meeting up with girls and guys and even older men that didn't teach us any better than I was being taught in my home. Now, I'm not going to fault my dad. I'm not going to fault my mom. They did the best that they could. But I'll tell you, my dad was not one happy camper. I almost lost my mother very close to the age of 7. So I grew up with a lot of difficulties at home. And gambling, actually I started gambling or rolling dice, which is gambling, at around the age of 14, I believe, in the projects with some of the older men. And we would, behind the houses, obviously we're not out, and then sometimes we were right out in the broad open too. Fights would break out. These guys, some of these guys were really slick, trick dice, and fights, like I said, fights would break out. Things would go terribly wrong. People would be ripped off. Imagine me, a 14-year-old boy. I don't even know where I got the money to gamble, but somehow I would end up with a few dollars here and there. And I would gamble. I would find ways, you know, when we're young, we're living in the projects, we don't have a right mindset. We look for ways to make money. Either we steal, we go into junkyards and steal car parts. However we did it, we had a few bucks here and there. And then I did some odd jobs. So, and whatever we could get a hold of. So I started early. Now, I have a way of looking at things today much differently than I used to look at it, obviously, back then. And I also have a unique way of looking at things. My perception, my mind of the world and the system and people and so-called habits, I call them, I don't like to call them habits, I like to call them belief systems. Because in actuality, that's what you and I are actually fighting. We're fighting belief systems. Somehow a belief got into our paradigm, partially and mainly from us growing up in the environment that we were growing up in, the environments that we would go outside of our homes into. And as we grow, obviously we associate with other people, we begin to take on jobs and so forth, and we develop belief systems that get into our minds that we're not even aware of. Most of the belief systems that I operated on up until recently that I began to understand how my mind operated. And to me, again, I look at things totally different today. That's why I can say that if you understand what I'm sharing in this video, it'll give you a different perspective. Just like you've heard this before, there's two sides to every coin. And there's a way to look at things. There's a certain perspective to look at ideas and teachings and people and situations. And that's what I'm trying to get at in this video. That's kind of like what I'm really trying to get at. I'm trying to get you. You're stuck with whatever it is. You're gambling. You're stuck with a vice. You're dealing with belief systems. And I'm trying to get you to see from a different perspective, maybe a higher perspective, because once you begin to see things from a different perspective, once you begin to understand things outside of the way that you're normally understanding it, or maybe the way that others are trying to show you. We've got people that talk about habits. We've got people that talk about symptoms. We've got people that talk about, we've got all these counselors and psychologists, and I'm not knocking them. I've been through my share of that type of education. But it wasn't until I realized something about my mind and something about my speech that I was truly able to overcome. And of course, I did want something different in my life. I was tired of being sick and tired. But those belief systems that dragged me through my life, because a lot of them basically dragged me. You ever wonder why sometimes you're doing something and you just hate it? You're doing it, but you just, I know you're going to relate to what I'm sharing here. You hate doing but you find yourself continually doing it. Obviously, we know it's a habit. Where do habits come from? They come from belief systems. They come from beliefs that we hold on to in our subconscious mind. Well, this 30-year plus stint that I did with gambling led me into many, many ugly things. A loss of tens of thousands of dollars. I remember literally crying, driving home from the casino, literally crying. I remember I used to live in the Bay Area, and I would drive up to Reno. And it was, and of course that was kind of a beginning after I got out of the military. I gambled while I was in the military. There was a group of guys on the ship that found ways to gamble. And I'm not too proud to say this, but I was involved in some of that too. And believe me, there's a lot of chicanery. There's a lot of trickery. There's a lot of deception when it comes to gambling. Even in the casinos with these machines. And you may be a person, well, I'm not going to say, this video is not geared for somebody that has control of their life. This video, and I do dedicate it to one in particular person. I'm not going to mention her name in here because I don't think she really, well, I'm not going to mention the name. If you can control things in your life, good for you. But most people that are gamblers, most people that are hurting, just like myself, there was a period in time where I basically literally wanted to die. I literally wanted to die. And I thought that was going to be, because I did think about suicide. There was loss of work. There was loss of serious depression in my life. I was homeless with my family. There were many loss of tens of thousands of dollars. Loss of dignity. And I honestly, I'll tell you, I will be completely honest, I never believed that I would ever stop gambling. That lie, that belief system had such a grip in my mindset, in my paradigms. Of course, I mean, I started when I was 14. I had no idea what paradigms were. I didn't know what belief systems were. I didn't know when I was that young, at 6, 7, 8 years of age, growing up in a trauma-filled home and abuses of different... I didn't know that all of those things were going to affect me later on in life. I had no idea. But I've listened to psychologists, I've listened to doctors, I've listened to lawyers, I've listened to psychiatrists, and a lot of them say the same thing. And I'm not knocking them. They have their place in the world. That didn't help me much. It did, but it didn't help me. It didn't help me get the victory. And I'm going to get into what really literally helped me. Number one, I think the major thing that helped me was desire. And the fact that you're sitting here watching this video for the length of this video, in fact, I'm not even going to get into that. If you truly want victory in your life, if you truly want to overcome gambling or any other such vice that has a grip on you, you're going to have to do a few things. You're going to have to do a few things. And the first thing that you're going to have to be aware of is the desire. If the desire is there, my friend, believe me, you can overcome this false belief. If the desire is there, you can overcome. Our minds are very tricky. People are tricky. People that don't understand what you and I may have gone through or what we're going through. Of course, I'm completely victorious over gambling, so I'm free. Gambling has no grip on me anymore. I control my thought life in that area, and I'm learning to control many other areas of my life. Desire will lead you. Desire will lead you to places that will help you build your faith. I used to watch videos. Earl Nightingale. In fact, I have some of these videos in my playlist here on my YouTube channel. That's why I'm always telling people, look, watch my videos, listen to my message, check out some more of my playlists. Yeah, it's boring. It is. I'm going to say it's plain boring. You don't have to sit there and watch my video in front of, you have to sit there and watch it. Maybe for the first time, I would recommend that you watch it. But you can listen to my videos, you can listen to my messages, you can play them in the background. You got to remember this. Remember that faith comes by hearing, and hearing more of the same. I would spend hours and hours and hours listening to videos. And of course, I've done other rituals, but I'm going to really focus on videos because videos have made a huge impact in my life. The messages have made a huge impact. And number one, the Bible for me. The Bible has been the number one book in my life, along with journaling and positive self-talk. But I have to say that videos, and I still watch videos. I don't have to watch them as much as I used to because I'm getting the victories. The victories are coming easier to me every single day. But I remember for a long period of time, I had that desire, and I would tell myself, instead of watching TV, I quit watching TV a long time ago. Instead of watching TV, or instead of spending a bunch of time on social media just doing nothing, why don't I educate myself? Why don't I find ways to get the victory? Why don't I do that? And that's exactly what I did. I began listening to Earl Nightingale. I began listening to Dr. Maxwell Maltz, Zig Ziglar, Anthony Robbins. Who's the other guy that I listen to frequently? The black guy. His name will come to me. He has quite a childhood and quite a history. Boy. Anyways, so this is what I've done. I took desire, I took my life, the situations that I didn't like, and I started just plugging into sources that would teach specifically in those areas. I would find people that had the victory. I would find people in videos and even in books that had the faith to help me start believing in myself. And I tell you, through desire, I began to believe in myself. I began to change neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. I studied that a little bit. What is NLP? NLP is basically, NLP is actually the use of your language, your words, and creating neurological pathways. understanding a little bit about how the mind works. So I've done quite a few things, but I'll tell you the major breakthrough was in listening to videos. Just forcing myself, forcing these messages, listening to men, listening to women, and I began to sense a stronger belief in myself. You see, I didn't have any confidence. I had a lot of insecurities. I grew up with a lot of fears, as I mentioned earlier. A lot of it stemmed from my childhood. And these belief systems that I had, especially gambling, 30 plus years, I believe, probably longer than that, that was a belief system that was lodged deep down inside. I mean, I literally thought that I wanted to die at times. Literally wanted to die. I was so enamored, so beat up, so taken by that lie. And I'll tell you, casinos are getting better. These machines, the lights, the sounds, the atmosphere, just it's incredible. It's incredible. And you have to look at, again, I'm going to go back to this word desire. If you have the desire, you got to talk to yourself on the positive level that you can overcome this. See, the problem that you're having, the reason why you're not overcoming is because the belief is still in control. You're not in control of that belief, that paradigm. That paradigm is ruling in your mindset, in your subconscious. So you got to bombard that area. How? Well, you got to use your will. You got to force yourself to listen to things that maybe are completely boring. But the more that you bombard those belief systems with messages of faith, with people talking about how to believe in yourself, with people talking about how to talk to yourself. I remember I started calling myself a non-gambler. Even when I was gambling, I began to call myself a non-gambler. And I would literally talk to myself in front of the mirror for hours. Well, I'm not talking about standing in front of the mirror for hours on end, but accumulated. After a while, I began to believe in what I was saying. You see, I began to believe that I could actually control my mind. I began to believe that the words that I was speaking were very powerful. There's a verse in the Bible that says the power of life and death is in your tongue. Listen to that. The power of life and death is in your tongue. You could literally speak life to yourself. You may be sitting here watching this and your mind is playing tricks on you. Even right now, as I'm sharing with this, you feel a side of you that's rising up in faith and strength, but yet you feel that other side kind of like a devil right here whispering to you. You know, you have to recognize that voice, that negative voice, and you have to distract it. That's the time. Whenever you feel like a temptation, you know, I get tempted to go gamble, but what do I do now? There was a time where that thought, that image in my mind was very strong. It's not strong anymore. Why? Because I dominated it. I dominate over it. It's like a bully that used to come at my door and try to beat me up. Yeah, I for a long time I let that bully beat me up. And he would beat me bad sometimes. Literally send me home crying. Send me home broke. Almost, there was times where I might have even died on the road. I mentioned that this video is going to be a little bit longer, but I really want you to get the force of what I'm sharing with you. If you get what I'm sharing in this video, that within you, within your mindset, your God, our Creator has given us a gift, or many gifts, but two in particular, your mindset and your speech and videos. I'm telling you, my friend, Earl, all of these, Les Brown is the person that I told you I would remember it. We have photogenic memory. Whether you realize it or not, you have photogenic memory. And you have the capability of overcoming, my friend. You have the if I can do what I'm doing, again, it takes desire, and you're going to fail a few times, but the more that you program your mind, the more that you inject with your will, When you're not in the casino, the more that you inject into your mind power and dynamite to overcome. I said this earlier, what you want is victories to dominate your defeats. You want victories. You want victories to dominate your defeats. I've got notebooks and notebooks. I'm always writing. I would literally write my life out. Literally write my life out on paper and read that to myself over and over and over and over. You know what? I wanted it so bad, I did whatever it took. I wanted it so bad, I did whatever it took. And I'm telling you, from a victorious mindset, I'm free. I'm a free man. I still battle. Yes, I battle, but it's not like it used to be. That bully is no longer in control. And you see, that's the image that you got to get in your brain. Again, I talk about things differently. I don't believe in all this withdrawals and all this other stuff. I believe that, boom, you have the temptation, you have the thought, and then either that thought rules you or you rule over that thought. If you begin to think about temptation, if you begin to talk about, or better yet, if you begin to think about withdrawals, you know, you go to some of these meetings, GA meetings, and some of these other counselors, they talk about that you got to watch out for withdrawals and you got to replace. And yeah, a lot of that stuff is true. But empower your brain, and your brain will give you ideas on what you need to be doing so that when temptation comes around, you'll beat it down. You know, like someone beats down another person in the UFC. And I'm telling you, my friend, you know, envision yourself waking up every day in victory. Envision yourself using that money that you would give to these casinos, because that's what you're doing. You're giving them, when you're believing that big fat lie, you're giving these casinos all of your hard-earned money. You work hard for your money. I mean, you sweat, you know what you go through to get if indeed you're working. It's not an easy thing to come by money anymore. And I mean, are you going to continue to let that bully beat you down? Are you going to continue to let that bully kick your ass, take from your children, cause you to become homeless, maybe even put the thoughts of suicide in your head? Is that what you're waiting for? No. You got to believe in yourself. You got to build up the faith. You got to do what it is that you have to do now before these temptations get even stronger. Because believe me, I believe they're going to get stronger. The way that we're moving in this world, the way that these casinos are always looking for more ways to get people in there. So what are they going to do? They're going to create more tactics. These machines are going to become more elaborate. You notice these casinos are full of video games today, more than ever. All of these older machines, they're gone. It's all video games, online. You can sit in the privacy of your home and play these video games. And it's all gambling. It's all subliminal to get into the eyes, to get into the ears, to get into your subconscious, to get into your nervous system so that you're feeling it. Believe for a victory. I know this video is a long video, and I'm not going to make any apologies, but if you're serious about wanting the victory, again, I'm not going to be redundant and repeat what I shared in this video. You're getting the message, and I hope that you take heed, that you have power within yourself to believe in yourself, to grow. You have free availabilities. You got videos, you've got books, you've got journaling. And again, the most important thing, if you find that you have that desire, hold on to that desire and start telling yourself, man, my desire is going to get me through this. My desire is going to help me whoop this bully. My desire is going to get me through. Have a mindset of expectancy every single day when you get up. And realize that you're going to get tempted also. You can't ignore that. But you can begin reflecting and have an image in your mind of what you're going to do the moment that a trigger pops up. You know, I talk about soldiers of self-mastery. You got to be prepared. In boot camp, we prepare ourselves to go out into the field. And that's what you're doing. It's like you're putting yourself through a boot camp before these temptations, before these lures, before these triggers pop up. Live in boot camp every single day, and I'm telling you, you're going to win the victory. You will win the victory. If I can do what I'm doing, if I can believe, if I can speak to myself the way that I speak to myself every single day, and have a PMA, positive mental attitude, and win, and keep winning, if I can do this, knowing where I've come from, the difficulties, the hardships, the ugly traumas, 30 plus years, losing tens and thousands of dollars, if I can do this, my friend, you can do it too. I'm believing with you, and I'm believing for you. I'll see you on my next video. It'll be a much shorter video, guaranteed. Remember to comment, subscribe, like, and share. Share this video. That's another thing that's going to help you. When you give of yourself, when you're struggling with something and you give of yourself, you're looking for ways to service others, to help others. It's going to help you, because whatever you give out comes back to you. Believe me, all these videos that I share, that I've made, have helped me continually keep the victory in my life. So I'm very grateful. Number one, to my God, my Creator. And number two, I'm very grateful to those that help me understand and give myself permission to believe in myself. So with that said, I'll see you on my next video. Santos Rolon Jr. here. Peace.